Okay, so we've been talking about raising prices on your customers. We've been talking about job costing. We've been talking about contracts. So now we're going to get to the next step. How do we actually do the job costing? Well, actually, this is probably some of the easiest one, but the main thing you have to have is you have to have Clip installed, and either Clip ITC or Clip XE, either of them work just fine. And you have to, if you're using Clip XE, you have to have Clip to Go so that you can give it to your guys, you can upload the work every day, and your guys then can enter in their start and their stop button, which is basically entering their start and stop times on each one of these properties. ITC is the same thing. Everybody has to have the app, they have to have a smartphone, and we have a new app that is not going to require them to be constantly connected to the internet. So if you have spotty coverage in certain areas or something, we got you covered, even if AT&T doesn't. So that's coming out very soon. But anyway, what you want to do is every morning you will send the information up to the website in Clip XE, and with Clip ITC it's already there. It's already online. It's in the cloud. And your guys are going to go out there, they're going to log in, they're going to log into what crew they are, who they are, and hit start. That actually collects their time cards as well. It collects their time cards, and then when they get to the first job, they hit start the job. And all the notes are there and everything else. And so they run that, and when they're done with the job, they hit stop the job. Well, we know how much you're charging for that job or how much that job is worth. And we know now how long it took, and we know how many guys were on the crew. So using all that information, we can boil it down and say, here's the dollars per hour. What if you're installing some very expensive Chinese tree of some sort? Well, if the tree costs $600 and you're only doing $100 worth of labor in there, the labor is what you're selling, and the labor is what's important. So what you want to do is in the job, there's a field called material cost. So you put that material cost as the $600 tree, and then Clip will automatically understand that if you're charging $700 for the job, 100 of that is your job costing, 100 of that is your man hours. And if they do it in 1 man hour, then you made $100 an hour. How does this job costing report really help you? Well, like we talked about, it helps you to rebid for the next year and do your contracts and things like that. But the other way it really helps you is it guides you along. In the last blog, I was talking about how we decided to do more townhouses because they're money makers. We also have figured out that the customers that we have that are getting the Mow and Make It Green, we call it, which is like the deluxe package, those are more profitable than the customers that are getting the bi-weeklies. Hate bi-weeklies, can't stand them. So what do? Is we look at this job costing report and we make sure that every one of the jobs, even the bi-weeklies and all of them, get raised to the point where it's worth it to us. Where for whatever our hourly rate is, which I think this year it's $55 per man per hour, at $55 per man per hour that we expect to make, we will do bi-weeklies, we'll do anything, as long as we're making that amount of money. That automatically leads us into the directions that are most profitable for us. And we find out that the Mow and Make It Green actually works even better. How else does this job costing help us? Well, a couple of years ago, if you guys use H-2B, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A couple of years ago, Congress shut down the H-2B, the returning worker exemption on the H-2B stuff. We were using 100% Mexican labor in our lawn maintenance company. All of a sudden, I'm staring down 550 lawns to be mowed, and I have no experienced labor. How in the world am I supposed to maintain 550 lawns every week with that type of labor or no labor at all? It's impossible. So we had to cut our customers, we had to fire customers. And we went from 550 customers down to about 300, 325 customers, because that's all we could handle. I mean, these guys that we had hired did not get the work done the same way that our Mexican labor had done it. The good thing is, if there's a good thing to all that, because it was a very painful year, let me tell you. But the good thing about that year is that at least we had the job costing report there in front of us. And we knew that we were firing the customers that were the lowest on our list. And that's what we did, is we got the ones that were making us the least, even if they were over our threshold, which at the time might have been $45 per man per hour. Even if they were giving us $45 per man per hour, they were not giving us the 55, and so we had to cut somewhere, so we were able to cut there. So I had confidence that I could still pull the year out, even though it was going to be difficult, and I'm used to making about 30 to 35% profit per year. That includes the salaries of my general manager with minimal management on my own part. I don't like to involve myself in the day-to-day. So I'm used to doing that. And of course, all that changed when we didn't get our Mexican workers. And I had to involve myself, in fact, to the point where I was going out there and fixing lawnmowers until we were able to hire a mechanic to do it for us. But at least I knew that with the job cost report, I was getting the top dollar and keeping the best clients and firing the ones that were lowest on the list. So we did pull the year out with zero profit and a slight loss, but it could have been so much worse. So back to the question, how do you do the job costing? Well, it's easy. You just go to the menu and you pull down reports and go to the job cost report and print it out with the details. And if you sort it by dollars per man hour, you're going to have the lowest at the beginning and the highest at the end. And that, in a nutshell, gives you all of the information, all the tools you need to raise the prices on the people that you need to, but leave the other ones alone.